Hello guys and welcome back. So now in this video we will be adding jumping to our game. In the previous video we have added the landing and falling functionality. Now with that we will be adding jumping as well. So whenever we press the space button we want the player to jump. Okay. So first of all let's go ahead and set up a input for that in the player controls. Then double click on this player controls. Let me move it right here. Okay, now if I click on player actions, in here we can create another action, and let's name this as jump. Then in the binding right here, search for space keyboard. Okay, you can also set any button on your controller as well for jumping. Okay, just simply click on this, add binding, and then select any button from the gamepad. Okay, so now once you add the space key, then click on the cross sign and click save. Then go ahead and open up the input manager script right here. Now we need to read the jump button whenever we press it. So right here, let's first of all add a header by the name of input buttons. Okay, so we have this B button. Now we're gonna create a pool. Actually, let's name this input buttons flag. Okay, something like that. Okay, so public pool, let's name this as jump input now. Okay, then after this, right here after this b under b input, what we're gonna do now, we will now say player controls dot player actions dot jump dot performed. Okay, then plus equals to I. Okay, it's gonna type integer again, but make it I. Then equals to greater than jump underscore actually jump input, and then this will be equals to true. Then right here we have handle movement input, then handle sprinting input. Now we're gonna create another method which will be for handle the jumping input. So let's go ahead and say private void handle jumping input. Okay, and in here now we're gonna handle our jump input. But first of all, let's copy this name, scroll up, and right here paste it. Okay, then let's go back to the player movement script now. Okay, and right here we need to now declare some variables, and right here we will do the jumping logic. Okay, so first of all, let's create a header. Okay, and let's name this as jump variables. And first of all, we're going to create a float. It will be public by the name of jump height, and this will define our jump height, that how high our player will jump. Okay, for now let's just set this to 4. Okay, then after this we will create another float by the name of gravity intensity, and this will be by default equals to -15 for now. Okay, and then after this we can scroll down right here. After this falling and landing method, we will declare a public method named handle jumping. So public void handle jumping, this will not return anything. Okay, so We can just leave the round brackets as it is. Then in here, first of all, we will check whether the variable is grounded is true. Okay, this is grounded. Okay, because before jumping, we want to make sure that the player is grounded. So we will say if the player is grounded, then what we gonna do? We will play the jumping animation. And as you know that we didn't set any jumping animation, so what we're gonna do, we will first of all go ahead and set up our animation. Okay, and then we will continue our code from here. So click on the animators, then in the parameters, let's go ahead and create a bool by the name of is jumping. Let's add another bool by the name of is grounded. After this, we can on this layer, okay, the override layer, make sure that you go ahead and drag and drop your jump animation. So right here we have this jump animation, as you can see. Okay, so what I will do, I will move it right here, jump. Let's make a transition from jump to falling. Okay, and as you know that the player will go in falling when the player is not on the ground. Okay, so for that reason we have created this is grounded bool right here, okay, on the parameters. So we're gonna say if is grounded as false, then the player will start falling like this, as you can see. Okay, after this we will make another transition from jump to empty, and in this transition we will say if the is grounded is true, then we will just simply go back to the empty state, and of course from the empty state we will be then going back to our player movement animations, okay, or you can say player locomotions. And also make sure that you remove this as exact time from both of them. Now our animations are set up for jumping. Now if we click on the jump animation, we need to add another script on this. Okay, let's name this script as let's just say reset the is jumping parameter. Okay, because whenever we are done jumping we want to reset that. So let's click on create and add. Okay, let's now open this up, and this time we will be using the on state exact. Okay, so from here remove the comments, and in here we just simply gonna say animator dot set bool, and we want to set the is jumping bool to false. Okay, that is all. Now we can get back to our player movement script. Okay, and now we have the animation set up, we also have the reset is jumping. Now we will be able to now jump. Okay, so now if the player is grounded, then what we're gonna do, we will set the parameter named as jumping in the animator component, okay, which we created. We're gonna set that to true. Okay, so the player will play the jumping animation. So we will say animator manager, because if you check the animator manager script right here, we have the animator reference already set up, okay, to our animator component. So right here, as you know that we have a reference to the animator manager script. Okay, so we can just basically uh, use this animator on a player movement script. Okay, it is just a simple reference, but make sure that this is public, okay, or else we will not be able to fetch it right here on this script. Okay, so animator manager, then dot animator dot set bool, and we want to set the is jumping to true. Okay, and after this, what we're gonna do, when we set this is jumping to true, okay, then we want to play this jump animation. So in order to play it, we will first of all say animator manager. We're gonna call a method from animator manager, which is by the name of play target anim or animation. And as you know, it requires two parameters. The first one is the jump name. So as you can see, it is just jump, and let set it to false. So it indicates that the animation should not be looped. Okay, if we check the play anim, as you can see right here, we set this is interacting to false. Okay, so as I told you, it just indicates that the animation should not be looped. Okay, so now after this, what we're gonna do, we will calculate the initial vertical velocity required for the player to reach a certain jump height. Okay, so let me tell you how we can calculate that. First of all, we will create a float by the name of jumping velocity. Okay, and this will be equals to mathf dot square root, and we're gonna say first of all -2, then we're gonna pass the gravity intensity, and then we will multiply that by the jump height. Okay, this formula right here is based on the law of physics, and it assumes constant gravity. And as you know that we just then store this result in this jumping velocity. Okay, so it is just a simple formula. Now after this, what we're gonna do, we will say vector 3, let's name this as player velocity. Okay, and this will be equals to the move direction, and then we're gonna say player velocity dot y equals to the jumping velocity. Okay, so this block of code creates a new vector 3 named player velocity, as you know, and set its y component to be calculated jumping velocity. So what this do, this basically, or you can say effectively, updates the player velocity, preparing it for a jump. Okay, then now after this we will say player rigid body dot velocity equals to now the player velocity. Okay, so what we are doing right here is we are setting the velocity of the player rigid body by updating the velocity the player is propelled upwards. Okay, so as you know that we are using the rigid body, so that is why we are using the rigid body velocity in order to move the player upwards. Now after this, what we're gonna do is right here we're gonna create another flag now. So public bool is jumping. Okay, so now right here we will just simply reset the is jumping flag now. So we will set is jumping equals to false. Okay, now after this, what we're gonna do, we will create another method by the name of set is jumping. We will say bool is jumping. Okay, this will be a parameter of this is jump set is jumping method, and in here we just simply gonna say this dot is jumping equals to is jumping. Okay, so this method is a setter for the is jumping flag. Okay, it allows the external code to set the value of is jumping by passing a boolean parameter. Okay, and this whole method is very useful for controlling the jumping state of the player from other parts of the code. So now we have a method to move our player in the upwards direction, or you can say to perform jump and play the jumping animation. Now on the input manager right here, now in the handle jump input, right here we're gonna say if we press the jump input, then what we want to do. We want the jump input to be equals to false, and we want to play the player movement dot handle jumping method. Okay, we want to call that. So whenever we press the space button, it will go inside player movement and perform this handle jumping all method. Okay, and as you know right here we are simply jumping, okay, and playing the animation, simple as that. Now if we open up the player manager in the late update right here, what we're gonna do, first of all let me check. We have a reference to the player movement, so now we're gonna say player movement dot is jumping equals to animator dot get bool, and we want to get the is jumping parameter from there, and then after this we will say animator dot set bool. We want to set the is grounded bool of our animator parameter to the player movement dot is grounded. Okay, and if we check our player movement, we have this is grounded right here. Okay, now if we save the script and get back right here, now if we select this transition from falling to land, okay, in our previous video the reason I have again added this transition is because now we will be needing this. Okay, and right here we gonna set the is grounded to true. So when the is grounded is set to true, it means the player is now on the ground, and we're gonna play the landing animation. Okay, so make sure that you add this condition right here, and if you click on the player, now we have the jump input right there. We have the is jumping, is grounded, everything set up right here. Okay, now if we go ahead and play the game, you will notice that there will be an issue with our jumping. If we try to jump, for example, you will notice our player will get stuck in the air. As you can see, the is grounded is right now set to true. Okay, so the player is just assuming that the player is in the air, but as you can see the player is not. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix this. If you remember in our previous videos on the player movement script right here, we leave a comment for ourselves. Okay, so we need to now fix this. So what we're gonna do right here is now we're gonna remove the comment from there, and now we will say that if the player is not grounded and also the player is not now jumping, okay, then we gonna perform the falling and landing and everything. Okay, and also now after this else condition, we're gonna say if the player is grounded and the player is not jumping, okay, then what we will do, we will first of all check that if the player manager dot is interacting is true, or if the input manager dot move amount, or you can say the movement amount is greater than 0, then what we will do, we will say transform dot position equals to vector 3 dot lerp. Then we will say transform dot position target position, then time dot, whoops, let me remove this. So target position, then time dot, I don't know why it is showing me that again and again. It's just a headache. Okay, so time dot delta time, and then we will say 0.1 at the end. That is it. And in the else, we just gonna set the player current position to the target position. Okay, and also we gonna write here, we're gonna say that if the player is jumping, then we don't want the player to rotate. So I will just simply type that. And the same thing on the handle movement as well. Okay. Okay, so now if we go ahead and save the game, right here now, as you can see, everything is set up. Okay, let's play the game. And guys, if your player is jumping a little bit higher, then you can try increasing the jump intensity and height. So as you can see now, the player is not getting stuck inside, I mean in the falling animation. Okay, now as you can see, the player plays the jump and then the falling down and then the land whenever the player gets down. Okay, let me decrease the player sprinting speed to 5, for example. Yes, 5 is a good value. Okay, so now if we fall from here, as you can see, it is working perfectly fine. And as I told you, you can decrease this. As you can see now, the jumping speed is going down. If you make it 6, I think 6 is a good value, as you can see. Okay, so everything is working as expected, and this will be it for our player controller. And now in our future videos we will be working on our networking using Pun. Okay, we will be adding the multiplayer system in the upcoming videos, so stay tuned for that.